welcome to the session. Today we are going to see linear mapping, or in other words we can call it as linear transformation or linear homomorphism. Okay, so we can use the word transformation, or mapping. Okay, both we can use for this term, linear mapping or linear transformation. It is basically we are transforming the vectors from one vector space to the other. Okay, that is called the transformation. Suppose we have two vector spaces, we are transforming from one vector space to the other. That is transformation. And why it is called linear means very simple explanation for this linear mapping is suppose you have a line in this vector space, okay, or a straight line in this vector space, and when you transform it into the other vector space, this linearity should not be lost. Okay, so this linear line should not be a curved one in the next vector space. That is the simplest explanation for linear transformation. So let's see in detail. Linear mapping, also called as linear transformation, transfer vectors from one vector space to the other. So suppose we have one vector space V over here and a W here, and we have some vectors in vector space V. Assume we have three vectors in vector space V, and we have four vectors in W. Okay, so we are transforming these vectors from V to W is called transformation. Assuming we are transforming V1 to the vector space W, and we may be getting W1 as its corresponding transformed vector. Okay, so that is transformation. A linear transformation means the linearity property should be preserved when we transform it into the other vector spaces. And you can also refer this YouTube channel for the graphical explanation for this linear transformation. Okay, it's a very good video. You can refer it and get the intuition. When we add two vectors, the result will be a vector. So that is the normal case. When we add two vectors, the result will also be a vector. And when we multiply a vector with a scalar, the result will also be a vector. Okay, that is the two properties of vector operations. Okay, and these two properties should be preserved when we transform them to the new vector space. Okay. And that is why we call them as linear mapping or linear transformation. So the word linear itself means that this kind of properties should be preserved in both the transformations, in transformation from one vector space to the other. Okay, map, or we can interchangeably use the word transform. A mapping phi from vector space V to W preserves the structure of the vector space if these two conditions are satisfied. That means phi of x plus y should be equal to phi of x plus phi of y. That is vector addition. Vector addition in one space should be preserved in the vector addition in the other space. Okay, that is the left hand side shows this one, this phi of x plus y means x plus y vector is transformed to the new vector W. So that is equivalent to independently mapping x and y to W and then take the sum of those transformed vectors. So these two should be same. Okay. In short, this vector addition property should be preserved in both the vector spaces. Okay, and second one is scalar multiplication. Okay, so this scaled vector is mapped to the new vector space, that is this, and it is equivalent to this. First we map x to the new vector space and scale it. Okay, both should be same. Here x and y are vectors in vector space V, and lambda is a real number. Assume two vector spaces V and W. Okay, so the axes are different in V and W. Okay, so we have a vector x in V, and when we transform it into w, we get x dash. Okay, so x dash is actually phi of x. Phi of x means when we transform x into w, we get phi of x, or it is called this is phi of x. Okay, or we can say that it is the transformed version of x. Okay, then we have another vector y in vector space V, and when we transform it into w, we get a vector like this, y dash. Okay, so y dash is the transformed vector of y, or the corresponding representation of y in w. Okay, and we find the sum of these two vectors x, y. So we will get a vector like this. Okay, so this is the sum of x and y, x plus y. Okay, and when we transform this x plus y into w, we will get x dash plus y dash, or this line will be, this vector will be the transformed version of x plus y. Okay, and what the theorem states that, the previous statement says that when we add x and y, we get x plus y here. Okay, in this vector space. Similarly, when we transform x and y, okay, we get x dash y dash, and the sum of these vectors by x and x dash y dash should be equivalent to the transformed vector of x plus y. So when we transform x plus y, we will get this vector, and when we add x x dash y dash, then also we will get the same thing. Okay, so that means that the summation or the vector addition property is reserved here, and it is also preserved in the w also. Okay, so when we add the transformed vectors, we have to get the same vector over here. Okay, so for clarity, I have written phi of x is x dash, and phi of y is y dash, and phi of x plus y will be this. Okay, so phi of x plus y will be this vector, and phi of x plus phi of y will also be the same vector. It should be like that, then only the linearity property is will be preserved. Okay, so this is vector addition. Then next we can see the scaling. So we have v and w over here, the same vector space I have taken. So we have vector x here, and that is mapped to w, and we get x dash over here. Then we scale the vector x by a factor 2. So we get 2x over here, and when we map this 2x to w, we will get this. And at the same time, if we scale x dash, then also we will get the same vector. Okay, it should be same. So the scalar property is also scaling property is also maintained here. Okay, so if our transformation maintains these two properties, then only we can say that they are linear. Otherwise, they are not linear transformations. They are not. They are just transformations, but not linear. Okay. Then the formal definition for linear mapping for vector spaces V and W, a mapping phi from V to W is called linear mapping, or vector space homomorphism, or linear transformation. Okay, we can use these three terms to representing the same thing: linear mapping, or homomorphism, or linear transformation. Okay, and the condition for making a mapping as a linear one, the condition is the previous two conditions we summed up into a single statement like this: for all x, y belongs to V, and lambda y, for all lambda psi belongs to R, phi of lambda x plus psi y is equal to lambda of phi x plus psi of phi y. Okay, this is nothing but the combination of the first two statements. That is, we have written like phi of x plus y is equal to phi of x plus phi of y, and one more thing, phi of lambda x is equal to lambda into phi of x. Okay, so these two are combined into the single statement. That's all. It's nothing new. Okay, then there are different types of mapping available. When we map with the vectors from one vector space to the other, we can map it in different ways. There are three types of mapping available. One is injective, surjective, and bijective. Okay, And injective means, suppose we have two vector spaces V and W. In injective, when we map V1 or any vector from V to W, we will get only one image over here. Okay, only one vector will be we will be getting, and that image should be unique. Okay, suppose V1 is mapped to W1 and V2 is mapped to W2. Okay, when we transfer or transform V1 to W, we get with W1, and V2, when we transform V2, we got W2. Okay, so these two are unique. V1 and V2 have unique images. Okay, and if suppose we are transforming V3 to W, we get W2, then we can say that this image is not unique. W2 is not unique. It has been mapped from V2 as well as V3. So when we consider V2 and V3, their images are not unique. So this kind of mapping is not possible in injective. If for one vector there should be only one image, and the images should be unique. Okay. So the second part should be satisfied. That means the images should be unique. Then we can say that this is an injective mapping or one-to-one mapping. Okay, so one and one relation, it should be a one-to-one relation. It should not be many-to-one relation or one-to-many relation. Okay, so it should be one-to-one relation. Then second one is like this. Okay, this is a surjective mapping. That means when you take W, all the vectors in W should be mapped. Okay, when you take any W, there should be a corresponding V1 over here, or any corresponding V in the vector space V. Okay, that means none of the vectors in W should be blank, or none of the vectors should be left blank. When you take any W from this set, it should have a corresponding value over here in the vector space V. Okay, then we call it as surjective or onto mapping. Then the third one is bijective mapping. It is actually a combination of injective and surjective. Everyone should be mapped with a unique image. Okay, and when you take W, the entire W vector should be mapped from V. Okay, so it is both injective and surjective. We call it as a bijective mapping. Okay, these are the three types of mapping. That means when we transfer one vector from one vector space to the other, that will belong to one of these three mappings. You can also refer this YouTube channel for more clarification regarding the type of mapping. Okay, then inverse of a mapping, and this is possible only if the mapping is bijective. Okay, so that means that V1 is, we have the vector space V and W, and we are mapping one vector from V to the vector space W. Suppose we are mapping V1 to W1. Okay, that is phi of V1. Okay, and if this is a bijective mapping, we can if we do the reverse mapping, that means when we map W1 to V, okay, when we do the reverse mapping, when we map from vector space W to V, that means when you map W1, we have to get V1 itself. Okay, so that reverse mapping called inverse of phi, and that will be represented like this, phi inverse of W1, and we get V1 itself. When you do the reverse inverse mapping, we will get V1 itself only when it is a bijective relation or bijective mapping. Okay, then special cases of linear mapping: isomorphism, endomorphism, automorphism. Okay, these are the three cases there. Then there is an identity automorphism exists, and isomorphism is actually between different vector spaces, and if the mapping is linear and bijective, we call it as an isomorphic mapping. Okay, linear and bijective, and it is between different vector spaces. And endomorphism means it is from one vector space to itself. Okay, endomorphism is within the vector space itself, and that kind of mapping is linear. Then we call it as endomorphism. Okay, so that means within the same vector space we can have many bases, many set of bases. So we can transform from one basis to the other. Okay, so those kind of transformations can be called endomorphism. Then automorphism is also from same vector space to the same vector space itself, V to V. Okay, but the transformation should be linear and bijective. Then we call it as automorphism. Okay, so transformation within the vector space itself. And identity automorphism is that also, since the automorphism word is there, it is from same vector space to itself. It is a special kind of mapping, that is mapping from one vector to itself. So that is called the identity mapping or identity automorphism. Okay, and this isomorphism and all, you might be studying in graph theory and all. Okay, then linear mapping or homomorphism. Example we are taking the mapping phi such that R2 to C. R2 to C. C is the set of complex numbers. Okay. And the phi is defined like this. Phi of x is equal to x1 plus ix2. Okay. That is a homomorphism, and we have to prove the statement. And what is this x1 and x2? That is, we are mapping from R2 to C. And what is R2? R2 is nothing but the 2D plane. Okay, so in the 2D plane, how do you represent a point? Okay, how do you represent a point? It has two coordinate values, x and y. Okay, two coordinate values. So here in this example, they have written x1 and x2 instead of x and y. Okay, so this x1 and x2 represents the two coordinate values. Okay, so let's take an example. In order to prove that this is homomorphism, we have to prove that these two conditions are satisfied. That is x plus y, phi of x plus y is equal to phi of x plus phi of y, and phi of lambda x is equal to lambda into phi of x. These two conditions we have to check. Okay, so consider two points x and y. Okay, x and y in the xy plane. Okay, so this is the first point and this is the second point. Okay, x1, x2 is the assume you have 2 points in the xy plane. First one is x and the second one is y, assume. Okay, and this is x is actually represented in the vector format like this, x1, x2, and this is represented like y1, y2. Okay, that is the representation. Don't get confused with the representation. Okay, and first we have to find out the first rule is phi of x plus y. We have to find out phi of x plus y, and x is represented like this, x1, x2, and y is represented like this, y1, y2. Okay, it is the vector representation of these 2 points, and this is simply vector addition, matrix addition. So we can simply add those two matrices or vectors like this. So we will get x1 plus y1. So we add the two matrices, we get x1 plus y1 is the first term, then x2 plus y2 is the second term. Okay, now we have to apply the phi function that is given in the previous slide. That is phi of x is equal to x1 plus I x2. That is the function, that is the phi function. Okay, x1 is the first term or first coordinate position. This is x1. This is actually x1, and second part represents x2. Okay, so we have to apply this equation to this. So we get x1 y1, x1 plus y1. Okay, that is this first part, plus I into x2 plus y2. Then remove the brackets. We get x1 y1 plus I x2 plus I y2. Okay, then combine the x terms. Okay, x1 and x2, combine x1 and x2 and y1 and y2. So we'll get it like this, x1 plus I x2 plus y1 into I by 2. And what is actually x1 plus I x2? It is actually phi of x itself, phi of x. And y1 plus I y2 is representing phi of y. So that means we can say that phi of x plus y is equal to phi of x plus phi of y. So the first rule we satisfied. Then we have to find out the second rule. Consider phi of lambda x. X is actually x1, x2. Okay, lambda into x1, x2. So multiply this lambda with this matrix, we get lambda x1 into lambda x2. Okay, now again apply that function. Okay, phi of x is equal to x1 plus ix2. So apply this rule. We will get lambda x1 plus I into lambda x2. Okay, so we'll get it like that. And take out this lambda value outside. We will get lambda into x1 plus I x2. Okay, and what is actually lambda x1 plus lambda I x2? That is phi of x. Okay, so that implies it is equal to lambda phi of x. Phi of lambda x is equal to lambda into phi of x. So both the rules are satisfied. So we can say that this transformation is linear. Okay, that is transforming from vector space R2 to complex number set is linearly transformable. Okay, so we can transform any vector from the 2D plane to the complex number. So we can represent any point in xy plane in terms of the complex numbers. Okay, that is the meaning. And there is a theorem that says that finite dimensional vector spaces V and W are isomorphic if and only if dimension of V is equal to dimension of W. Okay, and what was dimension? Dimension is nothing but the number of basis vectors. Okay, that we have seen in the earlier lectures. Dimension is equal to number of basis vectors. Okay, so suppose in my vector space, in my basis vectors, I have b1, b2, b3. I have three vectors in my basis set. So then it means that the dimension of this vector space is 3. Okay. So when we transform the vectors from one vector space to the other, both the vector spaces have the same dimension. Then the transformations will be isomorphic. Okay. That is, two vector spaces, if their dimensions are same, they can be transformed into each other without incurring any loss. Okay. So in other words, I can say that suppose in vector space V, you have a triangle. In vector space V, you have a triangle. And when you transform it into W, you get some shapes over here, suppose. Okay, it is not curved spaces. Some shape you may get here. Okay, and when you transform it back to V, you have to get the triangle itself. Okay, it should not be any other space. Okay, that's what it is saying. That's what isomorphic says. And it also justifies the reshaping of matrices. That is m by n matrix. I can convert the m by n matrix to Rmn matrix, because when you take the dimension of this vector space, it is m into n. That is mn is the dimension. And when you take the second vector space, there also the dimension is mn. Okay, so since both the dimensions are same, we can convert or interchange them easily. Okay, this vector in this vector space can be easily converted into, or we can convert it into the other vector space without any loss. That is the important thing. Okay, then special properties of mapping. One is for linear mappings, phi from V to W and psi from W to X are linear. Then the composite transformation psi phi from V to X is also linear. That means that we have a vector space over here V, and a W over here, and an X over here. And if the mapping from V to W is linear and W to X is also linear, then the transformation from V to X will also be linear. Okay, that's what the first property says. Then the second one is, if phi from V to W is an isomorphism, then phi inverse from W to V is also isomorphism. Okay, reverse properties are also there. Then third one, if phi from V to W and psi from V to W are linear, then phi plus psi and lambda phi, where lambda belongs to R, are linear too. Okay. So the transformations can be taken like this. Suppose phi, the transformation or mapping phi is something related to rotation. We are rotating our vectors. Okay, that is phi. Then suppose psi is scaling our vectors. Okay, scaling our vectors. And what is psi plus psi means? We have to rotate as well as scale it. Okay, we have to do both the things. That is psi plus phi. And lambda phi is do the suppose if it is rotation by 45 degree, and lambda phi or 2 phi means we rotate it by 90 degree, like that. Okay, and if it is phi means scaling, and lambda phi means the quantity of scaling will be different. Okay, then the matrix representation of linear mapping. Then the matrix representation of linear mapping notations. B is basis of vector space V, and B can be represented like this: B1, B2, etc. Bn. You note down this symbol bracket that shows that it is the ordered set. Okay, it's an ordered set of bases. And if you represent it using curly brackets, it is an unordered set of bases. And if you write it in square bracket, it is the matrix representation. So these are the basic notations we use with bases. Then the definition of coordinates: consider vector space V and the ordered basis B is equal to P1, B2, etc. Bn of V for any x belong to Y. We obtain a unique representation or linear combination of the vector like this: x is equal to alpha 1 b1 plus etc. alpha n bn. Okay, so where the b values are the vectors, basis vectors, and alpha is actually the coordinates, okay, of x with respect to b. Then alpha 1, alpha n, alpha 2, etc. alpha n are the coordinates of x with respect to b, and the vector alpha is equal to alpha 1, etc. alpha n belongs to Rn. Okay, this alpha is called the coordinate vector. Okay, so when you take any base, the coordinate values will be different. Okay, when you take a different base set, these coordinate values will be different. These alpha values will be different. Okay, that means that in your vector space you have two bases. This is b1 and we have b2. Okay, so when you take the base as b1, the coordinate value, the alpha values will be something, and when you take b2 as the basis, the coordinate values will be something else. Okay, so the coordinate values will be changing with respect to the base values. The vector alpha is called the coordinate vector or the coordinate representation of x with respect to the ordered basis b. Okay, for example, we can take an xy plane like this, and I and j are the bases. Okay, I can be represented like this: 1, 0, and j is 0, 1. They are unit vectors. Okay, b1, b2, and we want to find represent a point like this c, and the coordinate values are 4, 2. Okay, and it will be represented like this: 4 into, this is alpha 1. Okay, 4 into alpha 1 is this, 4 into first vector b1. Okay, then alpha 2 into b2. So we will get the matrix representation of x c. Okay, that is 4 2. And if the basis vectors are not unit vectors, you will may be getting a different thing, like here. Instead of 4 2, you may be getting a different thing. The coordinate values varies with the basis. For example, okay, these two are basis. Here the basis is E1 and E2, and here bases are B1 and B2. And if you represent a vector x here like this, based on E1 and E2, and in W, the same x can be represented with the vector base vectors B1 and B2. Okay. So the coordinate values of this x is 2, 2, 2. Okay, assume the coordinate values of this x are 2, 2. And correspondingly, the coordinate values of x in the vector space W will be different. Okay, because the bases are different. So here the coordinate values are 1.09, 0.72. Okay, so according to the basis, or when the basis changes, the coordinate values will also change. Okay, so here the vector is represented like this: x is equal to 2e1 plus 2e2. Okay, and when you come to vector space W, the representation of x is like this: 1.09 b1 plus 0.72 b2. Okay, so these are actually the alpha values. This here 2, 2 are the alpha 1, alpha 2. Here 1.09 is alpha 1, 0.72 is alpha 2. Then a remark, for n-dimensional vector space V and an ordered basis B of V, the mapping phi from Rn to V, phi EI is equal to BI. Okay, E and B are the, this is a linear and isomorphic transformation. And EA and BA are the standard basis of Rn and B. Okay, EA is the basis vector of Rn, and BA is the basis vector of V. Okay, and they are standard also. Okay, so I is equal to 1, 2, etc. n. Standard means they are taking the just like I and J, they are taking the standard axis. Okay. The direction of these bases will be through the standard direction or standard axis, and they are normally unit vectors. Okay, and to the summary, we have seen linear mapping. It can be called as linear transformation or homomorphism. Then we have seen the types of mapping: injective, surjective, and bijective. And the inverse of phi, it is denoted like phi inverse, and it is possible with the bijective mappings. And we have seen some special cases of linear mapping like isomorphism, endomorphism, automorphism. And there is a mapping from one vector to itself, that is identity automorphism. And there are special properties of mapping we have seen. Then the matrix representation of the linear mapping using the coordinate vectors. Okay, that's all about linear mapping. Thanks for watching.